Hello, everyone. This is the Data Analysis Lab, Drywall Perspectives. This is being performed for the Systems Engineering course, SEM 521, Fall 2018. My name is Ian Draney. This is performed for Professor James Eastham, and today is Veterans Day, November 11th, 2018. Today's agenda is to provide a problem description, explore the project manager's hypotheses, as well as the senior manager's hypotheses on the problem, analysis and findings, and finally conclusions and suggestions. Problem description is to analyze data from two different perspectives and offer your findings. Using the Drywall data file, investigate each perspective, provide an analysis for a large construction company, analyze the data set, highlight findings, and offer suggestions based on course learning. A quick primer on what you'll see in the analysis here is that in each case, each data visualization that is shown is a box plot. Other visualizations such as scatter plots were explored, but none were as telling as the box plots here. In each box plot, you'll see that slippage is used on the y-axis, and each analysis category has various increasing classifications, usually increasing based on complexity or severity. A couple of lines that were also drawn here is a baseline of 0 slippage. The blue horizontal line is average slippage across all projects, and the red line is a linear fit, that as we increase our classification, you'll see that linear fit will have some sort of positive or negative slope to it. So moving on with this particular analysis that changes, or based on the hypothesis that changes in scope can cause project slippage, we do see an increase. It's not too bad because the median in every classification is under the average. However, once we reach class 4, here that the median value goes above the average, showing us that a class 4 changes in scope do indeed lead to project slippage. And I'll go ahead and erase this. Hopefully erase this. Come on, eraser. There we go. Okay, and moving on. Okay, the next hypothesis is that complex projects and technical difficulties cause slippage. And we do see the same sort of trend here, that everything stays below average until we hit class 4. This is specifically to constructability issues, complexity. We do see outliers as well on lower classes. So this can be a problem. As we get more complex, we do get more slippage. Okay, and this is the same hypothesis, project complexity, technical difficulties, that in problematic access to specific areas, okay, the trend is a little bit lower as far as linear fit, but as we get into class 4, we see the median value spikes significantly above the average mean for slippage. And so we need to work on making sure we have proper access to areas for the drywall installation. Not shown here is the interior environment and mechanical, electrical, plumbing interface. Those are overall flat. Those aren't really causing slippage for us, so we'll just go ahead and skip beyond those. And the next hypothesis is unrealistic project plans, bids, cause slippage. And you see the same thing here. This is actually more of a linear trend, that as we move up in classification, that our slippage does increase as well for bid issues where either a scope of the specification is missing or we're just over optimistic, especially again in the highest classification, that the spike is huge. So this is showing a problem for us. Okay, just to split some hairs a bit, this is the project, the bid issues divided into fast track bids and non-fast track bids. The normal bids or not fast track bids are red, and the fast track bids are blue. And you see that the blue boxes are showing lower than the red boxes, meaning that fast track bids are not having a negative impact. They follow the trend overall, but that our slippage is actually lower when comparing each class of a bid when divided into fast track versus non-fast track. So we can continue to fast track bids. I think we're okay there. Okay, the next hypothesis is that staffing problems can cause slippage. Here we see a lack of skilled labor, and as we go up in category, especially into category 4, lack of skilled labor is not causing slippage. We have a flat line here. We're doing okay. Okay, adding work shift, we're actually going down in slippage as we add additional work shifts. I think we have a good labor force. They want to work. They want to get the job done. Okay, and the same trend for overtime. As we move up in overtime, we have less slippage. This is great. Okay, where we do have a little bit of a problem is that actually as we have increased wages, we have more slippage. Okay, this is an interesting find. I think that better paid employees are better performing employees. However, that's not necessarily the case here. Another staffing problem that is, I think, a problem, and this really relates to project complexity and unrealistic bids, is in category 4 here, we do have a bit of a spike when we're ramping up and ramping down the workforce. If we have to ramp up and ramp down on the fly, that's going to create problems for us. Okay, we're moving on to the senior manager's hypothesis here. I changed the color to be a little more distinct, that we've moved on from the project manager now into the senior manager. And the senior manager thinks that insufficient front-end planning, such as having a bad architect, contributes to slippage. And I believe that this is correct, that as we have a higher rating, a higher classification of architect rating, our slippage decreases. Okay, right on point. Okay, the quality of plans was also looked at here. As we increase in quality, we actually have more slippage. So we have to maybe review our quality metrics here. Okay, so and you see we're back to a blue chart here. This was just copied and pasted because unrealistic project plans were both used for the senior manager as well as previously in the project manager. And again, in class 4, that we have that huge spike in slippage. So we have to watch out on unrealistic bids. Okay, and just to reiterate, fast track bids don't have a negative impact on our slippage. We actually do better with fast track bids. Okay, the next hypothesis is changes in scope can cause project slippage. And this is correct. Again, this is a blue plot. This is already reviewed from the project manager's hypothesis, that we really have to work on our class 4 highest category of scope changes in incomplete documents here, because that is causing slippage for us. Okay, the next hypothesis is insufficient. This is the last one as well. I'm sorry. Insufficient contingency planning. In other words, acts of God and other unplanned risks that are causing slippage. You see here with the extreme weather as we move up to more extreme, that we have a flat line here. In fact, in the highest classification, class 4, that we have the lowest median value of slippage. Drywall is installed inside. we're fine. Okay, so for the analysis, the project manager, we see that changes in scope can cause project slippage. It's bolded here as it's used twice. Again, for the senior manager, and that's true. Changes in scope do cause project slippage. It's really kind of a domino effect with project complexity, technical difficulties that also do cause slippage, unrealistic project plans, unrealistic bidding do cause slippage as well. We don't have slippage with staffing problems overall. We're good there. A little bit more in that in the final conclusion. Reviewing the senior manager's hypothesis, insufficient front-end planning, poor architect, that is true. Lower rated architects do have more slippage. Again, unrealistic project plans do cause slippage. Changes in scope cause project slippage as well. Where the hypothesis is not true, again, is insufficient contingency planning. Okay, for conclusions and suggestions, we need to focus on realistic project plans and bids. Shouldn't hesitate to do fast tracks when required. And I think like any good business, we should under-promise and over-deliver. Okay. We need to put a careful watch on high complexity class 4 projects. Look at problematic access, go backs, and out of sequence work. When we hit the class 4 on those, adding to the complexity, or even performing the work out of sequence, we do have a spike in slippage. We need to watch those. Also put a careful watch on class 4 project scope changes. And this goes back to having realistic bids, getting clear specifications from the customer on what they want before we perform the work. Labor shortages, overtime, and adding work shifts are not causing slippage. Where we can improve, we even can slow down our wage increases. Not a bad not a bad problem for a company to have. We can even slow down the wage increases, increase our bottom line over a long term. We should put a careful watch on class 4 workforce ramp ups and ramp downs. This goes back to realistic bids and complexity that can abuse our workforce. That big changes in workforce numbers, ramp ups, ramp downs are causing more slippage. Okay, final suggestions and conclusions. We need to keep the higher rated architects on board, keep working with them because their work shows that as their rating increases, our slippage decreases. And we can't put, and finally, we can't put acts of God, extreme weather, and other risks that are largely out of our control on poor performance. We're doing okay there. We just got to keep fighting. And that's it. Thank you for watching the entire presentation. Thank you very much. Have a great day.